How to Reprogram Your Dopamine to Crave Hard Work. Written by Rob Wilson and published by Audiobooks Haven. Dopamine is the neurochemical responsible for causing distractions, overeating, and spending hours scrolling through TikTok. But what if you could harness your dopaminergic system to propel you forward, making it your ultimate tool for hyperfocus? In this book, I'm going to show you how. I'll never forget an experience I had. I was 9 days into a silent Zen meditation retreat, meditating for 16 hours a day, with no talking, reading, or writing, and eating only bland, tasteless food. After the retreat, I caught a cab home, and as I sat in the back seat, my fingers hovered over my phone screen. I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety as messages flooded in. The dopamine rush was intoxicating. The next day, however, I was still in a deeply meditative, Zen-like state. I began working on a long, tedious task I had been avoiding for months. To my surprise, I was fully present, and I entered a flow state almost immediately, an optimal state of effortless concentration and heightened productivity. The once dreaded task captivated me, and hours melted away. Any urge to do anything else was overridden by the thrill of discovery and problem-solving that had once seemed dull. My brain had been resensitized to find the work rewarding. So, how did this happen? How had something once boring become so engaging? It all comes down to dopamine. Known as the molecule of more, dopamine is the reason why cocaine is so addictive and why scrolling through social media is so compelling. It's also what gives us the high from accomplishment, making us crave more of whatever generated the dopamine release in the first place. This brings us to the concept of dopamine detoxing. Scientifically, you can't really detox dopamine. It's a neurochemical essential for our functioning. Dopamine plays multiple roles, one of which is focusing our attention on stimuli that generate dopamine. Dopamine isn't about stimulation itself. It's about the dopamine that the stimulation releases, which we crave. However, overstimulation can lead to desensitization. When this occurs, dopamine is still being released, but fewer receptors respond, reducing the impact. So rather than detoxing, the goal is to resensitize ourselves to dopamine. Low sensitivity to reward means you need a lot of stimulation to hold your attention, while high sensitivity means you need less stimulation to feel rewarded. Think of it as your ROI on dopamine. The less stimulation needed to feel rewarded and present, the better. Do you feel a dopamine rush while listening to a nice song or watching a beautiful sunset? Or do you need to play a video game, scroll TikTok, and eat ice cream simultaneously to get the same effect? I used to be in the latter category, needing lots of stimulation for my brain to produce enough dopamine for an activity to feel rewarding. But I reset my reward sensitivity by sitting on a mat with my eyes closed for 16 hours a day during the meditation retreat. However, I've since learned that such an extreme approach isn't necessary. There are simpler ways to achieve this, which I'm about to share so that you can reset your sensitivity in minutes instead of days of silence. By resensitizing, we enhance our impulse control, allowing us to delay gratification. Imagine for a moment how your productivity could skyrocket if you felt as excited about writing a book, creating a product, or any other task in your daily routine as you do when scrolling TikTok or checking your bank balance after payday. This is what's possible when you calibrate your sensitivity to reward. The first step to mastering your dopaminergic system is to master the art of making boring tasks rewarding. One way to do this is by modifying how you take breaks when working. Most people take dopamine-fueled breaks, like scrolling through social media, checking emails, or reading the news. The critical mistake is engaging in something more stimulating than the work you're taking a break from. Imagine trying to read a research paper after an hour of scrolling through social media. Against the backdrop of instant, infinite novelty, that paper feels unbearably dull. Now, imagine the reverse, staring at a wall for 20 minutes, doing nothing, not even meditating. Suddenly, that research paper seems fascinating. So, take boring breaks that reset your dopamine levels and heighten your reward sensitivity. Make your breaks, and whatever you do before and between work, as boring as possible to maximize the focus and engagement you feel when you return to your tasks. We want our work to feel as effortless as scrolling through social media, and this starts with lowering the bar for what we consider boring and making those tasks rewarding. Activities like taking a 20-minute nap, walking, stretching, mindfulness, breathwork, foam rolling, or light exercise are great ways to spend a break. One of my personal favorites, all jokes aside, is staring at a wall. I'll stop working and stare at a wall for 5 or 10 minutes, letting my mind settle, like letting the snow globe of my attention calm down. When on a break, the goal is to deprive your brain of dopamine so that it craves getting back to work. That way, the dopamine-seeking part of your brain, the one that will inevitably seek stimulation, will pull you back into your work instead of keeping you hooked on your break activities. The second step is to use the in-between moments wisely. Think about the last time you were waiting in line or sitting alone at lunch while your friend stepped away. Chances are, you checked your messages or scrolled through social media. This has become almost subconscious, but it's not ideal. We encounter these in-between moments daily, yet we're so accustomed to reaching for our phones for a quick dopamine hit that we miss opportunities for presence. Inhabiting the in-between means using these moments to simply settle and bring yourself back to the present. By cutting out unintentional information consumption, we prevent further fracturing of our attention and desensitization of our dopamine receptors. Some tips for this. When you arrive early for a lunch meeting, sit quietly without your phone. When waiting in line, pay attention to your breath. When commuting to work, simply drive, ride, or walk in silence. These moments force you to be present, even with little stimulation, gradually increasing your sensitivity to reward. Over time, your baseline for boredom will shift, cultivating a monk-like quality of mind that is highly conducive to deep focus and flow. The third step is to do one thing at a time. You can enhance your sensitivity to reward by maintaining a singular focus. As I've improved my ability to focus and access flow states, I've become worse at multitasking. In fact, it's gotten to the point where my team laughs at me because when we're out on a walk and I need to send a text, I'll literally stop mid-sentence, pull out my phone, and stand still, no longer walking or talking, while I type, and my team walks ahead of me. This happens because of the interplay between the default mode network, DMN, and the task positive network, TPN, in the brain. The DNN is active when you're not engaged in a task, while the TPN takes over when you're focused. In my example, I'm rapidly shifting from the DNN, which governs disengaged attention, to the TPN, which governs focused attention. This shift creates a tunnel of awareness, making me oblivious to my surroundings. Hence, I stop walking and talking while texting. Although this rapid switching between networks can be a burden when multitasking, like texting while walking, it's a superpower for flow. The faster you can shift from the DNN to the TPN, the quicker you can engage focus and increase your reward sensitivity. The easier and faster this shift becomes, the more focusing neurochemistry, such as dopamine, is funneled into the system. To train this ability, focus on one thing at a time. It's that simple. The next time you eat, just eat. When you work, just work. When you have a conversation, just converse. Embrace life as a series of singular activities rather than scattering your efforts to chase dopamine through constant novelty. To master your dopaminergic system and achieve peak performance, take boring breaks so that what's boring becomes rewarding, inhabit the in-between moments, and do everything one thing at a time. In the following sections, we'll break down the latest neuroscience research on flow states and provide practical tools to help you enter flow more consistently and reliably, stay in flow longer, and ultimately transform your work into play, your ultimate competitive advantage. In our fast-paced, instant gratification-driven society, the allure of quick rewards often overshadows the benefits of hard work and perseverance. However, achieving long-term goals and true fulfillment requires a reprogramming of our brains to seek out challenging tasks and embrace the grind. At the core of this transformation is dopamine, a neurotransmitter often dubbed the feel-good chemical that plays a key role in motivation, pleasure, and reward. Here's how to reprogram your dopamine response to develop a craving for hard work. 1. Understand the role of dopamine. Dopamine is not merely a pleasure chemical. It is intricately linked to our motivation and the anticipation of rewards. When we set a goal and start working towards it, dopamine is released, reinforcing behaviors that lead us to achieve that goal. Instead of merely seeking immediate gratification, we can train our brains to find satisfaction in the effort and process itself. 2. Set meaningful goals. Start by defining what hard work means for you. Set specific, attainable, and meaningful goals that align with your values and passions. When your efforts are connected to something significant, your brain is more likely to release dopamine, making the pursuit feel rewarding. Break larger goals into smaller, manageable tasks to create a steady stream of achievements, promoting continuous dopamine release. 3. Embrace the process. Shift your focus from the end result to the process itself. Find joy in the daily actions and habits that contribute to your larger goals. By learning to appreciate the journey and the incremental progress, you can condition your brain to associate hard work with positive feelings, increasing your dopamine response over time. 4. Limit instant gratification. In our digital age, distractions are everywhere. Social media, video games, and binge-watching TV shows. These activities can provide immediate dopamine hits, but often lead to a cycle of dependency on quick rewards. Limit your exposure to these distractions and replace them with activities that promote focus and discipline, such as reading, exercising, or engaging in creative projects. You may find that the dopamine released through sustained effort feels even more rewarding than instant gratification. 5. Practice self-discipline. Cultivating self-discipline is crucial for reprogramming your dopamine pathways. By pushing yourself to engage in hard work, even when you don't feel like it, you can begin to shift your brain's reward system. Start small. Commit to working for just 10 minutes on a challenging task, then gradually increase the duration. With time, your brain will begin to associate hard work with satisfaction. 6. Celebrate small wins. Each time you complete a task or move closer to your goals, take a moment to acknowledge your achievement. Celebrating small wins reinforces positive behavior and boosts dopamine levels. This practice helps create a feedback loop that encourages you to keep pushing forward, solidifying your desire for hard work. 7. Surround yourself with support. Engaging with a community that values hard work can significantly influence your motivation. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who inspire you, share their experiences, and hold you accountable. Their support can amplify your achievements and strengthen your commitment to embracing hard work. Conclusion. Reprogramming your dopamine to crave hard work is a gradual process that requires intentionality and persistence. By redefining your relationship with effort, setting meaningful goals, and cultivating self-discipline, you can train your brain to find joy in the journey. As you make this shift, you'll discover that the rewards of hard work far exceed the fleeting pleasures of instant gratification, leading to a more fulfilling and productive life. Remember, the key to success isn't just about working hard. It's about learning to love the grind. Thanks for listening to this from Audiobooks Haven.